Hare Krishna, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. And we will continue and hopefully complete our
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are discussing the pastime of Dhṛtarāṣṭra quitting home. And we will continue from where we left off last week. And so before that, let us recite the prayers for the invocation prayer, the Mangalacharan prayers, and the invocation prayers for Srimad Bhagavatam. First, we will start with the Mangalacharan prayers, which are in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the introduction. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We will, I'm going to share my screen and we will recite the prayers for the invocation prayers for Srimad Bhagavatam. What screen is being shared? Okay. Okay. So our topics from Srimad Bhagavatam course, and we will recite these. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. All right. So we are on this chapter called Dhṛtarāṣṭra Quits Home. So I wanted to make it a little more interactive and see. So what happened so far? Anyone would like to share that? What are some of the major highlights from the last class? or maybe in sequence? Where did we start? Or anything?
We spoke about like how many times Bhagavatam was recited between.
Yes, sure. And anything special that we said last class only that we did not say earlier about the number of times? Did we discover a new time when the Bhagavatam was recited last class? Hmm. So I think we discussed last class that even Maitreya Rishi recited the Srimad Bhagavatam or told the Srimad Bhagavatam to Vidurji, to Mahatma Vidur. So that was a new one that we discovered. Great. Which are the other ones that you know of?
Can I tell one,
Yes.
Prabhuji? We also covered where Vidurji went off on a pilgrimage and he met Maitreya Rishi, and Maitreya Rishi told him Srimad Bhagavatam.
Very good. And which other ones? The usual ones. Okay, that's probably too easy for everyone. Yes, go ahead. Anyone?
Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj.
Yes, Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And
Saunakadi Maharshi.
Suta Goswami to Shaunakadi Rishi. Yes. Okay, that's one thing. What else did we talk about last week?
And Vidurji came and spoke to Dhṛtarāṣṭra about all the things that Duryodhana was doing and to stop him from doing it.
Yes. So that was the
And
first one.
Duryodhana overheard that, and then he got very angry, and he
also called Vidurji a snake.
Yes, he did. And then what did he do?
And then he just like kicked him, not really, like he took him out of the palace, and then
so Vidurji left the bow, and then he went to the
Yes.
pilgrimage.
Yes, very nice. Very good. Very good. And so that was one part of the story that we heard. We heard another part of the story as well. What happened afterward? When he came back.
When Vidurji came back, everyone like greeted him back.
Of the obeisances,
Yes. So Maharaj Yudhishthira by now was the king. The war was over, and he greeted him very nicely. And now we will resume from that point onwards. Okay. Wonderful. Very nice. So before we go on to today's discussion, what was the the reason why we are doing this discussion is one part is to learn or understand the story. Just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is so enlightening and so live, so much. It gives so much peace and comfort to the heart, and it spiritually nourishes the heart. So that is the main objective. Also, the objective is to learn the lessons or the instructions of Lord Krishna through the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not that Srimad Bhagavatam is just all stories and all the learnings and instructions are only in Bhagavad Gita. That's absolutely not the case. There is tremendous amount of learning from the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So that is the main thing, that why we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Although since the learnings are kind of mixed with the story, it becomes very nice and very enjoyable. Not to mention that Bhagavad Gita is not enjoyable. It is very enjoyable as well. But Bhagavatam is just so sweet in itself. So, what was the main topic of learning last week?
Association. Power of association.
Power of association. Very nice. I'm happy you remembered that. So, let's recap a little bit about association. What were some of the associations that we saw last week?
Duryodhana associating with Karna and Dhṛtarāṣṭra and everybody, they're associating with each other and doing all bad things. Yeah, and the Dhṛtarāṣṭra was not correcting Duryodhana when he was doing bad things. So.
Yes, exactly. Duryodhan was getting the association of Shakuni, that was the main instigator, and Karna and his brothers, and he was giving his association to Dhritarashtra, who was happily taking it. And whose association did Dhritarashtra reject? He was getting two types of association.
Vidurji's.
Vidurji, exactly. So in our life, it's not like, oh, we should never say, oh, I am in bad association. So it's someone else's problem. It's God's problem that I am in bad association. So what to do? I will only be a bad person. That is not the case. We always have a choice. There is good association available and there is bad association available. We have to choose which one to take. And Dhritarashtra was exactly in that position. Right there in that room, if you saw in that picture, he was getting both associations, both type, from Duryodhan and from Vidurji. One he was very good association and one was very bad. He made the choice to choose Duryodhan's association simply by staying quiet. And in that way, he chose. Now let's look at it from Vidurji's standpoint. He gave up the association of the Kauravas. He could have said, no, I have served this kingdom for such a long time. You cannot ask me to get out. I'm not going to leave. He could have tried to assert his authority, whatever authority he had. He did not do that. He immediately gave up this bad association. And what did he get in return for that?
He was peaceful, that he felt happy that he no need to serve Dhritarashtra and his kingdom.
Right. He felt very happy that he is finally, doesn't have to remain in this association. And what else?
And he can associate with devotees. And he started going to different pilgrimage centers and started associating with pure devotees.
Wonderful. Yes. So the benefit for him was that he went to so many different places. He went to Vrindavan, Mathura, Ayodhya, Dwarka, all these wonderful places and got such wonderful association. And he heard or got a chance to discuss wonderful topics with great personalities like Uddhavji and Maitreya Rishi. And he was in bliss. He could not have done all that while staying in Hastinapur. Very nice. So that is we discussed a lot on the association, and if you would like to go back and review, you can review last previous times discussion. It's all been uploaded. So another important, so of course we talked for about 20 minutes on this power of association. Sometimes for us, for Vidurji, he gave up bad association. Dhritarashtra was unable to give up bad association. So we see that contrast. One was able to give up, one stuck to it. And we discussed why is it sometimes that we are unable to give up bad association. What is the fundamental reason? Someone who has not spoken so far, maybe.
Because it might be someone that you love or have an attachment to.
A little bit louder.
It might be someone that you love or have attachment to.
Attachment, yes, very good. Our youngsters are so much more into it. This is wonderful. So attachment is the key word. And sometimes it is very hard to give up attachments. And that brings us to the topic of that story. How many of you remember I told you to listen to a 15-minute story? How many of you got a chance to listen to it? Maybe by a show of hands.
Yes, I did.
Okay, very nice. By a show of hands, do you want to raise your hands in Zoom and say got a chance to listen to it? Okay. Some devotees are saying some, yeah, may not have, some may not know how to raise a hand.
How to do that? Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Okay, if you have not listened to it, I strongly encourage you to go listen to it. It's just supremely beneficial if you have not. And how to go and listen to it, I think you can. I'm not going to probably spend time right now. It's on the Gita PDX URL. It's tinyurl.com/Gita PDX. Right after this class, maybe you should just assume that this class is 15 minutes longer. Before you get up from your device or your computer, listen to it. I think it will be very beneficial for all of you. The idea is to show that how our attachments are sort of the biggest hurdle in our making spiritual progress. They are our barriers. If we give up our attachments, then it will be so much more easier for us to make spiritual progress. Okay, so it's very important. Attachments and spiritual progress. Attachments, when I say it is material attachments, of course it's not spiritual attachments, but material attachments and spiritual progress pretty much go in the opposite directions. So we must, so please, when you get a chance, listen to that. Okay. I don't know how to lower all hands, but okay. All right. So we will start today's discussion. And so before we go in, the first question I will ask is, why did Vidurji return after being insulted? He left upon being insulted. So what were the reasons? So let me ask you a question. Who insulted Vidurji?
Duryodhana.
Okay. Anyone else? Renuka Mataji, I see you unmuted. And
Yeah.
Mataji.
Duryodhana.
Okay.
Namaste.
Anyone has a different answer?
Yeah, his brother also, actually, because he didn't take his side when Duryodhana was insulting him.
Exactly. I would say Dhṛtarāṣṭra insulted Vidurji. Duryodhan, by nature, his very nature is demoniac. Again, this is a way to look at it. Okay. Of course, Duryodhan insulted. Someone, there's some echo. I'll go and mute. Okay. So, however, the one who could have done something about it was Dhṛtarāṣṭra. So, in a sense, I would say Dhṛtarāṣṭra was the one who insulted Vidurji. Now, let's see, why did Vidurji comes back after the war is over? He comes back here. That's when he's greeted by Yudhishthira Maharaj and so on. Why does he come back? What is the reason for him to come back? Any guesses?
Because Yudhishthira ji ascended the throne after Mahabharata war.
Okay. So can I reword that and say that he came back because now a favorable party was in power? Earlier, it was the Kauravas who were in power and they insulted him and he left. Now, a more favorable political party, so to say, of course, we cannot just reduce Yudhishthira Maharaj to a political party. But is it because, oh, now my friends are in power, so let me go back to, and I will further exaggerate that sort of kind of thinking to maybe enjoy royal comforts. Oh, my friends are the kings. Let me go back and let me enjoy because they are now in power. So I can also enjoy while they are in power. Is that the reason why he came back?
Prabhuji, isn't that
Prabhuji.
Yes, I am not sure who all are unmuted.
Yeah.
I think I heard Anjana Mataji's voice.
No, I was just saying that probably wasn't that true that Dhritarashtra still didn't leave the throne and he came back to, actually to show him mirror that, you should now leave the throne and you should go and meditate on God because you have done so many sins. It's time for you to wash those sins and, purify yourself.
So Dhritarashtra was no longer on the throne. He had given up the throne and Yudhishthira Maharaj was the ruler. But he was taking very, very good care of his uncle, Dhritarashtra.
Okay.
He didn't show any disrespect or anything. But at the end of the Mahabharata war, Lord Krishna himself coronated Yudhishthira Maharaj as king.
Okay.
So, but yes, who, somebody else?
He comes because he hears all Upapandavas are dead and he wants to console the Pandavas. That was the reason he comes back, not for the material benefits.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Any other thoughts of why he comes back?
And Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
If somebody is talking, it's okay. I can hold. I can talk.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, but it's just my guess. Basically, when like he learned a lot of things during his yatra, maybe he's thinking of sharing those and like sharing those and even visiting his loved ones and sharing that message with them, and yeah, something like that.
Okay. So the real reason, any other devotees want to take a guess?
Vidura was very well learned person. He wanted to impart his knowledge and whatever he knew about the ruling of the party, whatever it is, to help them out.
Okay. Similar to what I think Shri Devi Mataji said. Okay.
So Vidura listened Bhagavatam from Uddhava, so maybe you want to share that.
To share that, okay, yes. What else?
He wanted to sort of make Dhritarashtra see sense that now this is not the age, and for him to be sort of liberated or purified of his sins to take Lord's shelter.
Yes. So that actually is the reason, the main reason. So this is why I asked the question earlier that who was the main person who insulted Vidura? We said it was Duryodhan or Dhritarashtra, and I said that, the way, I would say it is Dhritarashtra, because he was the king. Duryodhan was not the king. But he allowed that kind of insult to occur. So it is Dhritarashtra who was the ultimate person who sanctioned that insult to flow to Vidurji. And Vidurji came back for that same Dhritarashtra. And this shows there is a very, very important learning here that the saints, Vidurji, that's why Srila Prabhupada, whenever he's translating, he calls Vidurji as Mahatma Vidura. So Mahatma Vidura came back for the very same person, for the well-being, for the spiritual well-being, not the material well-being. He was completely sure that Maharaj Yudhishthira is such a virtuous person. He's such a nice and thorough gentleman person that he will take very good care, bodily care, material care of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. But he came back for the spiritual care of Dhṛtarāṣṭra, for the spiritual progress of his elder brother. And that is the learning here, is that is the level of compassion of the devotees. Devotees are so compassionate that they even show compassion and love and kindness to the same people who have wronged them in the past, who have insulted them in the past. And we can see how badly Vidurji was insulted. Still he comes back to rescue his own brother, his brother who had insulted him. So this is the behavior of great saints, and Vidurji is a great saint. There was zero material incentive. There was zero reason at a material level for him to return. He did not want to come back to enjoy material comforts or anything. Of course, he could have come back for the other reasons, like sharing the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam and so on. But the main reason was to rescue the soul of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. So that is the one of the big learnings from his coming back. Now we will transition to the main story of today, and the main topic for today is a little hard-hitting. It's a little bit difficult to understand, and not understand. It's pretty straightforward, but it is a little bit difficult to apply, a little bit difficult to fathom, to really grasp as to what it means and how to apply it in our life. And that main topic, that topic of today, is how to give up family attachment and focus on Krishna consciousness. So giving up family attachment. Now, family we hold very dear in this modern day and age. And family is so important to everyone. Even if you ask, whoever, the president or something, what was the best day in your life? Even though they have just been, made president, they will say, no, the best day of my life is when I married my wife. Or next best is when I took the oath as president. So everybody says family is number one. Family is like so important and that's true, family is very important for everyone. So what it means to give up family attachment, and it's a very, very strong topic. So it does not mean that one should abandon the family. We will see as the story progresses. And of course, the main character of discussion here will be Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Dhṛtarāṣṭra will be asked by Vidura that what are you doing in this family attachment? You should leave and go away and make spiritual progress. So, of course, in his particular case, he is being asked to leave and physically detach. But what does it mean for us? There is no requirement for devotees to physically detach from family. What it really means is that one should, and we will kind of unfold this as we go along, but I'm giving the essence or the sort of the main point, is that one should not be from the mind and from the heart too attached to the family. As in, like, always thinking about family. That's what occupies one's mind all the time. That should not be the case. You do enough for their material needs, but mainly you should focus on your own Krishna consciousness and help them to make progress in their Krishna consciousness. That should be the mood of every family member, and we are all family members, so that should be the mentality and the mood of everyone, is to focus less on material progress of the family. And of course, material progress is required to a certain extent so that it supports and forwards the spiritual progress. So that is the meaning of giving up family attachment. So we will unfold this discussion as we go along. So if you remember, we left last week where Maharaj Yudhisthira welcomes Vidurji and gives him a place to rest, and he takes rest, goes to sleep, and then next morning, Mahatma Vidura goes and talks to his brother Dhṛtarāṣṭra. And in the meantime, a small description is given here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we are in chapter 13 of the first canto, and somewhere around verses 15, 16, 17, Maharaj Yudhishthira is also thinking the same kind of thing, that I have become king now, but I have a very good successor in place, which is Parikshit Maharaj. They have a great, very wonderful grandson. Of course, all their sons have been killed, but he has a very good grandson, Parikshit Maharaj. He's growing up nicely, and there is basically a very able successor. And this thought has already entered his mind, that what am I doing now in this family business, in this political business to run the kingdom and all that. He is a perfectly Krishna conscious person. He is a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. So he is thinking himself, what am I doing in this family thing? I should also go. So while that's just a snapshot that is given, which links us to the future chapters. It's just a small precursor to the couple of chapters that are going to come in the future, and which we will hopefully cover in our discussions here. That when Lord Krishna departs from this planet, then the Pandavas will also retire. They will go to the Himalayas. So that that seed is already growing in Yudhishthira Maharaj's mind. Anyway, so there's a very important verse that I would like to go over, which is showing the thought process of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So let me share that verse. This is verse number 17. And so, yes. So would anybody like to recite this verse? Like usual, this is a great opportunity to recite and read Srimad Bhagavatam, hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And also, like I have said earlier, if you are interested, please let me know beforehand. Also, I can send you these verses and you can prepare reciting them in the proper meter, in the proper way, and you can recite. These are all very nice ways to spend time. We all, try to spend time by singing all the Bollywood songs and all these other kind of things. Better to spend time trying to recite Srimad Bhagavatam. There is, there's great benefit for everyone in doing this. So, but I didn't want to bombard everyone, assuming that you all want to do it. So if you are interested, you let me know. But right now, would anybody want to do it?
Okay, Prabhuji, I'll try.
Okay.
Evam griheshu shaktanam pramattanam tadihaya atyakramadmad vigyatam kalam param dustaram.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to take a shot?
Can I, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Evam graheshu saktanam pramatanam tad iya atyakramad avijnata kala parama dushtara.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to do?
Evam griheshu saktanam pramatanam tadihaya atyakramad avijnata kala paramadustara.
Wonderful, Shivani. So that's how we must recite, how Shivani recited. So like I said, children are stealing the show. Wonderful. Very good. So, there are a lot of audios available for recitation and all that. It's a very good activity to recite Srimad Bhagavatam verses. Okay, go ahead, Shibani, translation.
Insurmountable eternal time imperceptibly overcomes those who are too much attached to family affairs and are always engrossed in their thought.
Very nice. So in this chapter, we will also see mainly the force of time, how time acts on all of us. We have all these attachments in our life, family attachments, attachment to our friends and family members and property and home and all these things. How time comes as the natural separator. Time will separate us from all our attachments, all the objects of our attachment. So here we can clearly see the aspect of time. That time is the Paramadustaraha, Kalaha Paramadustaraha. That means that time is the ultimate separator, the ultimate insurmountable force. And time is the energy of the Lord. So this time nobody can overcome. Oh, everybody is instead overcome by time. So that's the verse that that we wanted to recite. Okay, so now this is how Maharaj Yudhishthira is thinking. And in the meantime, the scene switches to Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Vidura. So Vidurji goes to Dhṛtarāṣṭra and he wastes no time and starts, telling him, he starts by saying, you need to get out of here. Now, you please pay attention to this conversation. It's a very beautiful conversation between Vidurji and Dhṛtarāṣṭra, and how strongly, without mincing any words, Vidurji is talking very directly to Dhṛtarāṣṭra. And we should see in our own life how we are attached to so many family affairs, to so many attachments, not just family. If, for the younger ones and for, family is important, and, to build a family, to raise a Krishna conscious family, and so on. But we have so many other attachments that we should see ourselves in this discussion. So here is what he says. He goes on to say, you must get out of here. He starts off by saying that, Vidurji, get out. You need to get out of here. You should not delay. If you delay anymore, you will get more and more stuck. And you are not leaving because of your attachments. Now, who is Dhṛtarāṣṭra attached to? He's not attached to the Pandavas. He's not that much. They are the ones who, his own sons are all dead. So who is he attached to? So Vidurji is making a claim. You are attached to your own body and your own material comforts. That is what you are attached to. So he says that your fear of leaving this comfort, this comfortable situation that has been given to you, has overcome you. And the Supreme Lord, in the form of eternal time, Kala, will one day overcome you. And you will have no power over this time, this Kala. Time has spared no one. No one will ever be will be able to escape the power of time. And everyone must surrender to this insurmountable energy of the Lord called Kala, or time. So one day time will separate you from everything you are attached to. Each and everything that you are attached to, you will get separated from it. So better to give up that attachment right now and make progress towards spiritual side. So we will see some more things that he says, some things very strong, some very strong words he speaks. But this aspect of time as the eternal separator, as the energy of the Lord that will one day engulf us all, is very strongly brought out in two immediately following verses, number 19 and 20. So let's recite these two verses as well. Any takers for 19?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
Pratikriya na yasyeha kutaschit karhichit prabho sa esha bhagavan kala sarvesham na samagata.
Very nice. Thank you. Anyone else?
Pratikriya na yasyeha kutaschit karichit prabhu sa esha bhagavan kalah sarvesham nah samagataha.
Very nice, Mataji. Thank you. The recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam itself is so nice and so melodious. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to love hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam recitation from Raghunath Das Goswami. Okay. Anita Mataji, would you like to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. This frightful situation cannot be remedied by any person in this material world. My Lord, it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as eternal time Kala that has approached us all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So we see here, Sa Esha Bhagavan Kalaha. So the Supreme Lord in the form of time will engulf us all, and we will have no power over that. Okay, next verse. Any takers?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yena chaiva vipannoyam pranaihi priyatamairapi jana sadyo viyujita kimutanyairdhanadibbihi.
Very good. Anyone else?
Yena chaiva vipanoyam pranay priyatamerapi jana sadya vijuyata kim yunter dhanadibi.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay. Parinika, would you like to read the translation since Shibani read the previous one?
Okay. Whoever is under the influence of Supreme Kala, eternal time, must surrender his most dear life, and what to speak of other things such as wealth, honor, children, land, and home.
Thank you. Very nice. So even our prana, which is so priyatama, it is so beloved to us, that will be taken away. What to speak of all the dhana adi, all the money, family, possessions, everything. Srila Prabhupada says honor, children, land, home, all of these things will be taken away by time. So please, so I'm going to stop sharing here. So please realize the importance of this discussion, how powerful time is. And one day it will detach us from all our attachments, whether we like it or not. And we can call it unfair, we can call it whatever we want, but the reality is all our attachments will be detached from us by time. So, and in the bargain, we will be the losers because we will have to restart all over again. We will not be liberated just because we did not give up our attachments and they were taken away by time. So better, it is anyway going to get taken away, better give it up and build the attachment to Lord Krishna, because that will please Lord Krishna. If time takes away all our attachments without our giving it up voluntarily, then we are just entangled in the web of material life. So all this was being explained by Vidurji to Dhṛtarāṣṭra. And then he goes on to say something even more strong to really poke the heart of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. He says that all your sons have died. And he knows that, who has killed their sons? How did they die? They did not die by some natural disaster. They died in a war. They were killed in the war. So he said, all your sons have died. Your brother, which is Pandu, he died. Your father has died. All your well-wishers, everybody is dead. And you have become so old and invalid, you can't even move properly. And then he says something very pointed. You are living in someone else's house. This is not your house anymore. It is someone else's house. And you are blind. You were always blind. You were born blind. Now you cannot even hear. You don't remember anything. Your brain is not working properly. Your teeth are about to fall out. And you are having all these diseases, liver problems, cough, and everything. And yet you are desiring to continue to live. Somehow or the other, you're just dragging your body and you're somehow dragging your soul and your body together. And you are living like a dog. this Bhima comes and gives you some food and you are just eating that food. Now imagine the amount of sarcasm in that sentence. Bhima is coming and giving you food. Who is Bhima for Dhritarashtra?
Arch enemy.
Killer of his
Killer
son.
of Duryodhana.
The direct killer of his son, of his beloved son. So he's saying you are like a dog. You are living by the food that Bhima comes and gives you. And he says you are living in the house of those people whom you tried to kill earlier. You tried to kill these people. Would you ever live in a house of people that you tried to do any harm to? Even he's saying that much of consciousness, that much of conscience is not there left in your heart. You are living in the house of people whose wife you insulted. He didn't say whose wife your sons insulted. He says whose wife you insulted, because he was the king. You took away all their wealth and now they are being kind enough to give you shelter and you are taking their shelter. You are no better than a dog, he says. He says your desire to live, to keep the body and soul together has become so great that you have lost all honor, all prestige. Everything you have lost just for the sake of staying alive. He said you should leave this body as soon as possible. You should give up your body. What are you doing in this body? Your body has become useless and you should give it up. And this is the time. Of course, the time to focus on the Supreme Lord was long before, but at least now you should focus on the Supreme Lord. You have very little time left and you should focus on the Supreme Lord. He, of course, doesn't mention Krishna by name, but even Dhritarashtra understands the concept of Paramatma, that Paramatma is in the heart. He says you should focus on the Supreme Lord who is in your heart. And you should not seek your dependence on these family members. You should seek dependence on the Supreme Lord. So you should get out of here right now. Don't feel that you depend on these people. Don't seek dependence on anyone. Just seek dependence on the Supreme Lord and get out of here. And he says that when you go, so he sees that Dhritarashtra is getting, his heart is getting, wrenched. He's getting, there is so much turmoil going on in Dhritarashtra's mind. But this time, unlike last time he was not able to get through to Dhritarashtra. And by that time, Duryodhan had come and he drove him away. This time he could see that Dhritarashtra is opening up to this advice. And then he says, leave right now and go to the Himalayas and don't tell anyone. He says, if you tell anyone, they might try to stop you, and you are so feeble, you are so weak at heart that you might stop. So don't even tell anyone, just get up and leave right now, while the conviction is strong in your mind and in your heart. And he gives another reason, that Kali Yuga is coming very soon. Now, Kali Yuga starts as soon as Lord Krishna departs the planet. So he's saying Kali Yuga is coming very soon, and it's not good to leave your body in Kali Yuga. Before Kali Yuga comes, you should leave your body. So better you get out of the house right now. Do not wait even one moment. So Dhritarashtra finally gets convinced that yes, I should leave. And he just gets up in whatever state he was. He doesn't look here, there, anything. Doesn't pick up his belongings, doesn't pick up anything. He just leaves. As it is, he just leaves without waiting even one moment. In 1 second, he broke all his family ties. In his heart, of course, there were no family ties as such, but in his heart, he in one moment broke all the ties mentally, and he just left. If he delayed, he knew he might not have the strength to leave. And Gandhari, who was his lifelong, dedicated, faithful, chaste wife, she was also there listening, and she also got up and left with him. She could not obviously stay back without him, and she started moving with him. So there's a very nice picture that I found that I have pasted here. Again, right here. So you can see Dhṛtarāṣṭra leaving along with his wife, who has a blindfold around her eyes. And you know all about that one, why she's blindfolded. And she goes along with her husband. So in one moment, he breaks all family ties and goes. Then the scene shifts to next morning. So all this discussion lasts the whole day. And during the night, Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Gandhari just leave in the dead of night. Next morning, what happens? Yudhishthira Maharaj, we focus the scene back to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and it is described that after performing his morning duties, so first of all, Yudhishthira Maharaj is described as the one whose enemy has never been born. Any idea what that means? Maharaj
Maybe,
Yudhishthira has been described as whose enemy has never been born.
maybe it's that he never sees anybody as an enemy.
Exactly right. Now we know that he has so many enemies. The Kauravas were his biggest enemies, not in his mind, but literal as a externally speaking, they tried to kill all the Pandavas so many times, and they did so many bad things to them. So he definitely had enemies, but it is described that Maharaj Yudhishthira, whose enemy has never been born, it means that he never sees anybody as an enemy. So it is described that he performed his morning duties first. His morning duties included, the first thing is to pray to Lord Krishna, offering fire sacrifice, fire yajna, then offering grains, cows, land, and wealth to the Brahmanas. So all these things the leader or the king has to do. How many of our leaders are doing these things as soon as they get up in the morning? So, we have to, this is the quality of a God-conscious leader, of a God-conscious society. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, after performing his morning duty, he went to perform his next morning duty. And the next morning duty was to go and pay respect to his elders. And he was treating his uncle and aunt, which is Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Gandhari, with so much respect. And now, especially, he had two uncles in his presence during these times, during these days. Not only Dhṛtarāṣṭra, but also Vidura. So he went to pay respect to his uncles. And what does he find? He finds the chambers or the room empty. And he's wondering, he looks everywhere, and he's the king. So, all the servants go looking everywhere, and they don't find Dhṛtarāṣṭra, Gandhari, or even Mahatma Vidura anywhere. And then they find Sanjaya. And who is Sanjaya from Bhagavad Gita?
The servant of the Dhṛtarāṣṭra.
Servant of Dhṛtarāṣṭra, yes, the faithful servant of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Sanjaya has a lot of attachment for Dhṛtarāṣṭra. So they find Sanjaya, said he must definitely know. If Dhṛtarāṣṭra, if anybody knows anything about Dhṛtarāṣṭra, it is Sanjaya. So they ask Sanjaya, where is your master? Where is Dhṛtarāṣṭra? Where is his wife, Gandhari? And by this time, Yudhishthira Maharaj is thinking, maybe they have left. He was always suspecting that this kind of thing may happen, either because he thought that they are very sad because of the death of their sons, or maybe they don't like living with me because we are the ones who killed their sons, or whatever is the reason, have they left? So he begins suspecting that, and he starts almost breaking down. He becomes very sad himself. And Sanjaya goes and looks everywhere, and he even cannot find. And they both become very sad. Sanjaya and Maharaj Yudhishthira, both of them become so sad, and they discover that they cannot find them anywhere. And they know now that something bad has happened. They have either left, or they have been kidnapped, or something bad has happened, and they become very, very, very anxious. And Maharaj Yudhishthira remembers that, when my father died, both Vidurji and Dhṛtarāṣṭra took so much good care of me, like that Yudhishthira is thinking. Now that may be true for Vidurji, but it was not true for Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Dhṛtarāṣṭra did not take very good care of the Pandavas. But this is how Maharaj Yudhishthira is thinking. And that's why it is said his enemy has never been born. He never considered anybody to be his enemy. So he says, they are our well-wishers. Where have they gone? And then both of them start crying. And, Sanjaya says, my master has cheated me. He should have taken me with him. He cheated me by leaving me behind. So like that, they are thinking. And then what happens next? So somebody has to come and tell them the truth. So who is that next somebody that comes and tells them the truth? Any idea? Those that might have read Srimad Bhagavatam?
Narada.
Huh?
Narada.
Narada Muni. Excellent. Thank you, Srini Prabhuji. So our transcendental personality, Narada Muni, appears. Now we can see how great Yudhishthira Maharaj is. Whenever he is in distress, none other than Narada Muni appears to come and relieve his distress. So that speaks of the greatness of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Narad Muni appears, and as soon as he appears, Yudhishthira Maharaj pays him his obeisances, his respects, and immediately asks him, where have these three personalities, these three people gone? Dhṛtarāṣṭra, Gandhari, and Mahatma Vidura. And then Narad Muni begins to tell Yudhishthira that don't lament, don't feel sad. Everybody is under the Lord's control. So that is the first thing he says. Don't worry, the Lord is taking care of everyone. And especially the Lord in the form of time. So again, the concept, or not the concept, but he reiterates the point that the Lord as the supreme Kala brings everyone together and also separates them. And we are all bound to this material world through the law of karma, which is explained in the Vedas. So as we do, we are bound to the material world. We do pious activities, we get punya karma. We do sinful activities, we get sinful reaction, and we are bound in this material world, just like a cow is bound to the the pole with a rope, and the cow cannot go anywhere. It is bound to the pole. Like that, we are bound to this material world through our karma. And we are all pawns. We are all like playthings, pawns in a game, in the game of time, in the game of Kala. So this is a big, entanglement that we are entangled in. And matter is perishable. Of course, the soul is imperishable, but matter is perishable. And all these feelings of separation, my brother, my father, my uncle, these are all illusions. What are you talking about? All these things, my uncle, this and that. You are such a great king. You shouldn't be lamenting like this. So another learning from this is that this kind of teaching Narad Muni was able to give because the recipient was qualified enough to receive it. You cannot give this kind of teaching to any, Tom, Dick, and Harry. And especially for us, the teaching or the learning is that if, let's say, some calamity happens in someone's family, you should not go and say, oh, this is all the, energy of Kala and it will separate one day. All this need to be told to the people who are qualified to receive it, not somebody who does not know the ABC of spiritual life. So the instructions need to be given to those who are qualified to receive it, or in other words, appropriate instructions need to be given according to the level of the receiver. Yudhishthira Maharaj was such a great spiritual personality himself, or he was so knowledgeable in spiritual knowledge, that Narad Muni felt no inhibition in giving these instructions to him. So he says that you must give up your anxiety, and you think that you are the caretaker of Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Gandhari. This is another pride that we have in our heart. I am the caretaker. Without me, they will not survive. We think we are indispensable. If I am not there, all these other bad things will happen to other people, as if I am the Lord. So we have this pride that if I am not there, or people are surviving, or people are being supported because because of me. So Narad Muni says that even the most helpless creature can survive without you. Even the most helpless creature is able to survive without you. And we think that we are the cause of other people's survival. No. Who is the cause of everyone's survival?
Paramatma.
Yes, the Supreme Lord. He is the cause. He is the one who is supporting everyone, not us. So he says that we are ourselves in the grip of Kala. And there it is being called as the serpent of time. The Sarpa, the serpent of time. We are ourselves in the grip of it. How can we save anybody else? A drowning man cannot save another drowning man. Then both will drown even more faster. So only the Lord can save a drowning man. So this is what Narad Muni says. You think you are the supporter? No, the Supreme Lord is the supporter. So this is our last verse for today for recitation. Very, very beautiful and important verse, that we are all in the grip of time. How can we save anyone? So this is verse number 46. Yeah, this one. I forgot to change the number. So this is 1.13.46. Okay, who wants to?
Kala karma gunadino deho yam pancha bhautika katamanyam stu gopayat sarpa gasto yata param.
Very good. Anyone else?
I can go.
Yes, Nishtha, go.
Kala karma gunadino deho yam pancha bhautika katamanyam stu gopayat sarpa grasto yata padam.
Very nice. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll read.
Yes.
Kala karma gunadino dehoyam pancha bhautikam kaha katamanya anyam stu gopayet sarpagrasto yata param.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else?
Kala karma gunadino dehoyam panchabhautikam khatam anchastu gopayet sarpagrasto yatha param.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravi Prabhu. Anyone else?
Kalakarma gunadino dehoyam panchabhautikaha kadhamanyastu gopayet sarpagrasto yadha param.
Thank you, Mataji. Would you like to go ahead and read the translation? Or was there anybody else who wanted to recite?
Prabhuji, can I recite it?
Yes. Suki, is that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Kala karma gunadino dehoyam panchabhautikaha katam anyamstu gopayet sarpagrasto yata param.
Thank you. Go ahead and read the translation.
Okay, Prabhuji. This gross material body, made of 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others?
Very nice. Thank you so much. So, as it can be seen here, Kala, Karma, Guna, Adhina. Those are the 3 things, Kala, Karma, and Guna. Adhina means under the influence or under the control, Adhina. So the material body, this deha, is under the control and adhina of this pancha bhautika. Not under the control of pancha bhautika, but this body which is made of this pancha, these 5 elements, is under the control of these 3 things, these 3 energies: kala, karma, and guna. The gunas are the modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness. And then how can it save anybody else if it itself is in the jaws of this sarpa grasto? The serpent has held it. Grasta means to hold it tight in its jaws. So that is the beautiful verse. So all these verses that we are reciting are some of the important verses of each chapter. If at all you ever want to kind of summarize the Srimad Bhagavatam learnings from Srimad Bhagavatam into a small set of verses, from each chapter you could recite or try reciting these verses on your own sometime. It's very nice use of your time. Okay, I'll stop sharing. So like this, Narad Muni advises Yudhishthira Maharaj, and then he says that the Supreme Lord is the ultimate protector. We are not the protectors. The Supreme Lord is the protector from within and without. Within and without means from inside and outside. So from the inside, now another quiz question is coming. From the inside, the Supreme Lord is the protector as the Paramatma. How is he the protector from outside? Any ideas?
Is it Kala?
Okay, Kala, that could be, for the devotees, yes.
Is it the nature?
Nature, okay.
Is it Garbhodakshay Vishnu?
Okay. Others? So this is not my thing. This is, I have taken it from the purport given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He has mentioned very specifically how the Lord protects us externally. Think about it. We are in the material world. In the material world, what protects our Krishna consciousness? Now, this protection is not bodily protection. When we say the Lord protects everyone from inside and outside, inside he is protecting us as Paramatma by giving us instructions. We may not be able to hear him because we are busy hearing so many other nonsense things, but he is trying to give us instructions. So, and from within and without. So from outside, how or in what form is the Lord protecting our Krishna consciousness?
Personal God, I think. Devotees association.
Okay.
Through the scriptures, Prabhuji.
Now we are getting closer. Yes, devotee association, scriptures.
Acharyas, Prabhuji. Spiritual master.
Yes, so these are the right answers. So the right answer is Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. These are the 3 ways in which the Lord protects us from outside in the material world by coming to us in the form of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Gurus are those whom we take instructions from. Sadhus, I'm generalizing, we can take instructions from all 3, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra and all that. But in general, the essence is Guru is whom we take instructions from. Sadhus are whom we go associate with. And Shastra is the source of all instructions. Of course, Guru is also the source of instruction. Sadhu is, so it's all, in all 3. But that is the understanding. Receiving instructions, associating with saintly people, and putting our faith in the scriptures. So that is how the Lord protects us from outside, through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So he's saying that Lord Krishna is present on this planet as Kala, and he will take care of everyone. You don't need to worry about anyone. So the Lord is present from inside and outside. He will protect. He will also protect as Kala, and you don't need to worry. And also at this point, Narad Muni gives a hint to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He says that Lord Krishna is on the planet. So as long as he is there, you may stay on the planet. And he leaves it there, which is reinforcing Yudhishthira Maharaj's conviction that you need to leave, because Lord Krishna's pastimes very soon are going to end. And as soon as that happens, the instruction is for the Pandavas to also end their pastimes. They need to retire. So there is the very next chapter is the departure of Lord Krishna. And after that, the 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam is that the Pandavas retire. So the Pandavas have no interest in being present on this planet if their beloved Lord Krishna is not present. That we will cover in a future chapter. So then Narad Muni reveals finally the fate of Gandhari, of Dhṛtarāṣṭra, Gandhari, and Mahatma Vidura. So he says that your uncles, both your uncles and aunt, which is Gandhari, have gone to the Himalayas. They have gone northward, and there Dhṛtarāṣṭra will actually engage in Ashtang Yoga. Now, all those of you who have read Bhagavad Gita, it means that he will perform the yoga of the mind, which is described in the 6th chapter, the Ashtanga Yoga. So Dhṛtarāṣṭra is not a devotee of Lord. He is not a bhakta. He is not in devotional service. So, and he could never reach that stage because he does not have that faith or that love for Lord Krishna. But he is able to control his mind. He was a great king, he's born in a royal family through his prowess. He is able to control his mind strongly. So he engages in very strong dhyana yoga. He will control his mind. Narad Muni describes that he will, stop eating. He will only drink water. And he says within 5 days, Dhṛtarāṣṭra will give up his own body through his own mystic power. His mystic power will become so strong through the dhyana yoga process that his body will become so hot. It will become so bright that his whole body will light up, and he will burn up in ashes through his own mystic power. So I have a nice picture of that. This is taken from the Srimad Bhagavatam of this pastime of the passing away of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. So there we see that Dhṛtarāṣṭra passes away, and he says to Yudhishthira, don't stop him. This is not the time to bring him back. Finally, after so much of attachments, strong attachment, first to his son, then to his own life, his own comforts, finally he has given up all these attachments. Don't try to stop him. Go, let him go. It's a good thing for him that he is focusing his mind on the Paramatma, and like this, Dhṛtarāṣṭra achieves liberation. So he is able to achieve liberation. Though he is not able to achieve the Bhagavan realization, he attains liberation. He merges as in not merges in an impersonal way, but in a personal way, he merges into the Supreme Lord. That is what is described. Then he also describes the fate of Gandhari. He wants to prevent Yudhishthira from saying, okay, Yudhishthira Maharaj or Dhṛtarāṣṭra has passed away. Let me at least go and bring back my aunt, Gandhari. So he says that your aunt, Gandhari, lifelong has been so faithful, so chaste to her husband. So and she's also a very powerful yogi. She's not a fickle woman. She's from the royal family. She also has very, very strong control of her mind. And she will continue with her husband even in the spiritual world. So she will also enter the fire of her husband, and through that she will also attain liberation. So don't worry of bringing her back. And Vidurji, he will from there onwards go to pilgrimage. So don't even try to bring back your uncle. Let him go. So basically, through all this, Narad Muni is instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj on the aspect of cutting family ties, how Dhṛtarāṣṭra was able to cut his family ties, and how Yudhishthira Maharaj should cut his ties to his uncles and aunt. He should not have so much attachment for them either. So Viduraji will also go to pilgrimage, and like that, Narad Muni said, and then he disappeared. He went, wherever else he had to go on his travels. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, being very, very intelligent, very, very, um, um, he could understand the mind of Narad Muni. So he understood all these instructions, how to cut family ties. He was already thinking about it. He got clear instructions, even though Narad Muni did not say directly to him, but for himself also he got clear instructions what to do next. And he obviously got instructions about not to try to bring back his uncles and aunt, and to cut his ties of attachment to them. So that's how our story ends. So yeah, that's the passing away of Dhṛtarāṣṭra, or the title of the chapter is Dhṛtarāṣṭra quits home. So not only does he quit home, he quits this material world, he goes to the spiritual world. So very, very instructive and very, very, heart rendering, I would say, this whole topic of how he was able to cut his material ties even after being so attached. Finally, in the last phase of his life, he was able to cut his attachments, which were so strong in his lifelong journey. This was the biggest problem of Dhṛtarāṣṭra, that he was too attached to his son, Duryodhan. And this led to his ultimate downfall. But finally, he was able to salvage himself from that. Okay, so that's the end of our description of the pastime of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Now, any questions, any comments, any reflections?
Prabhuji, I have a question. So you mentioned that, Dhṛtarāṣṭra did Ashtanga Yoga and got liberated. But in Bhagavad Gita, it says that doing Ashtanga Yoga, it's a long process. It takes a long time to get liberated that way. So how could he get liberated so fast?
Yeah, that's because he is okay. I know I'm going to give you an understanding that I have, which is that it is possible to. There is no minimum time that is prescribed. It's for generally it takes very, very long to perform Ashtanga Yoga, but Dhṛtarāṣṭra was able to control his mind out of his conviction so soon that within 5 days he was able to complete the overall process of Dhyana Yoga. So there is no minimum time. It is the strength of your yoga that matters. It is described, for example, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that for Dhruva Maharaj, he also performed the same form of yoga. It took him about 6 months. But for Dhṛtarāṣṭra, it took him 5 days.
Also, Prabhuji,
okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Yes, Manasi Ganga Mataji.
So it's before Kali Yuga, so it would have been easier to achieve that benefit in the short period, Prabhuji, because it's Kali Yuga, it is really difficult and taking long time.
Yes, that could also be the reason.
Prabhuji, I have a question as well as a comment. I mean, because Dhṛtarāṣṭra had to see this kind of fate in this lifetime because he burned a tree with 100, birds on it.
Lots of birds, yes.
Yeah, and so he had to bear the consequences of that in this lifetime. But after that, I mean, what I remember from another lecture is like, after burning that tree, he lived quite a few other lives where he did a lot of pious activities as well. So that could be the reason why it culminated in a his entire I would say that he could reach the spiritual world.
Yes.
So my question.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, that the pious activities from previous life strengthens our ability to perform various types of yoga as well.
Yeah, my question is that we know the pastime of Dhritarashtra, why he had to suffer the death of 100 children of his children, but what did Gandhari do? I mean, she faced the same fate as her husband. Do we know, or like it just kind of like I was
Yeah,
just kind of wondering.
we can look up and try to find. I don't know at the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Prabhuji, I had a reflection, right? So in my mind, I think Vidurji, like you said, he's a Mahatma, right? So that is why he was able to commit the verbal. So he almost insults Dhritarashtra, right? To provoke him into action. He uses very harsh language.
Yes.
And it is verbal violence. It is like Arjuna did the physical violence on his loved ones. So he commits this verbal violence. Is it pardonable because the ultimate output was a good one, right? That it led to Dhritarashtra's liberation. So is that why it is okay for him to commit it?
Absolutely. Yes, that's exactly the reason. That if you are using, we will see this tomorrow when we read 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And it is about the divine and demoniac qualities. And it's a very, very important chapter, very deep chapter. And we will see that some of the demoniac qualities, for example, anger, and we will see a different spin on the demoniac qualities as well, that devotees can use those sometimes in Krishna consciousness or for pleasing the Lord or for in service of the Lord. For example, the best example of this is Hanumanji. He was so angry when he met Ravana, and that he and when he told Ravan that you should release Mother Sita at once, and Ravan instead insulted Hanumanji and burnt his tail and all that, out of his anger. Not anger as in like he didn't lose control over himself, but he really got angry and burnt up the whole of Lanka in his anger. So he used that emotion of anger to please the Lord. And devotees definitely can do that. Now you and I should not do that. Now we will discuss this tomorrow as well. There are certain fixed relationships in which we can sometimes use this emotion to as you said, provoke action in the other person. So there are certain relationships like a teacher and student relationship, or a parent and child relationship, or there are these relationships that where of sort of natural authority, where it flows from top to bottom, where you can use some of these emotions to make the other person make spiritual progress. This is absolutely fine. But the point is that emotion is in the control of the devotees. The devotees are not in control of that emotion. Like, they can use this as a tool, like an anger as a tool, but they are not in control of anger. They control, they can use it as a tool, like a controlled explosion, not as an uncontrolled explosion. Do you see the point? So yes, it can be used in the service of the Lord.
Thank you.
And this was the compassion of Vidurji for his brother. Even though he had been insulted so much by him, he still came back for him. And this was the only way in which he could make him make progress. By saying nice words and all these things, he knew. Saints know how to invoke progress in the other person. And they will give that kind of medicine, just like a doctor. For the same disease in two people, the medication or the prescription may be completely different. You can talk to your friend and you say, oh, you also have same disease, I also have same disease, the doctor gave you different medicine, gave me different medicine. Why is that? We both have same disease. Because the doctor knows that one medicine will work on one person, a different medicine will work on different person. So they are experts, and they know what's the right emotion to use at the right time, so that it will evoke the right Krishna conscious action in the person. And that is why it is very important to get this kind of association, so that we can have this kind of support structure around us. We must also therefore surrender ourselves and under the shelter and in the instruction of a guru, so that we can get this kind of instruction as well. Otherwise, we are trying to go around the world in this sort of diseased place without any support structure. So we must find those three shelters: guru, sadhu, and shastra. We must absolutely seek them out. It's very hard. It might take a very long time for us to realize the words of Paramatma from within our heart. But we should seek out the external availability of the Lord in the form of guru, sadhu, and shastra as soon as possible. So we are all already taking the shelter of shastra. We should associate more and more with saintly people. Wherever we get an opportunity to hear from saintly people, we should do that. We should take the shelter of a spiritual master. We should do all these things. We don't know how much time is left in our life. We should not delay. Any other reflections, questions?
Prabhuji, one question.
Yes.
What happened to Vidurji after Dhritarashtra passed?
So there are other descriptions in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we will potentially cover at some point of time. But Vidurji goes on his pilgrimage again, basically.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, one more question, just out of curiosity. After how many years after the war did this event happen?
This event happens fairly now. See, Srimad Bhagavatam's chronology is not very clearly given. The purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam is to give us the learnings and the instructions, but the chronology at many places we will see cannot be completely stitched very clearly. So it is described that this is after the war. Of course, Vidurji has spent time hearing from Maitreya Rishi and all that, and after that he travels back to Hastinapur. Plus, it is also given that Yudhishthira Maharaj has realized that he has a very sound or a capable successor ready to take over after he retires. And very soon we will see that he receives the message of the departure of Lord Krishna. And after that, the Pandavas retire as well. So I don't have a very clear answer. It could be anywhere between several months to a few years after the ending of the Mahabharata war.
Okay, thank you.
That's the best that can be said. So, I mean, the main topic of today, by the way, if, just to bring back the discussion, is about how much we are attached to our family life, to our family affairs, and how we should focus our life on reducing our constant, non-stop thinking, worrying, caring for our family. Constantly, we are in that mindset. How to get out of that mindset and get into the mindset of Krishna consciousness. It's not bad to think about the family, but just too much thinking about family and family only is just a little bit too much. That is the instruction of this chapter, at least for us people who are beginners. I am definitely only a beginner in this whole process of Krishna consciousness. So any discussion, any thoughts on that topic?
So I think the last verse was a real reassurance, right? That they are not dependent on us. I mean, that attachment is really known. I mean, especially if the attachment is because we have this false ego that, people are dependent on us, or or the youngsters are dependent on us. I mean, it is a very clear message that they are all independent. I mean, I think that is a very beautiful
No,
takeaway.
they are not independent,
Exactly,
but
they
they
are
are cared
taken
for
care
by
by.
the Lord.
Cared for. Yes,
Correct.
Sorry, I think I used the wrong sort of usage, but the message was very very powerful actually. That sort of that the message of not being attached is also supported by something.
Exactly. It's not like we are all unsupported for and like freely floating, particles in space. There is definitely a support. It's just not us. It happens to be the Lord. And that is a very freeing, very liberating feeling that, yes, if I am not there one day, they will be fine. So why worry about them so much? We are not the cause of their, support. Neither are we the cause. And when we will not be there, it's not like they will lose the support. So for me, it's a liberating feeling.
But at the same time, I think we have to do our job of, I mean, at least taking care of the family and doing our job, right? As maybe there should not be any favorishness about that aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Without having favorishness, just doing our work, what you're supposed to do as a grihast.
Yes, I think we covered this towards the beginning of the discussion when I laid down the essence of today's topic.
Okay.
That we should definitely. It's not like we now all no need to care for them and okay, I don't need to go grocery shopping. I'm not supporting you. If the rice is over in the house, it's not my problem. Not like that. But we have to do enough to support them. And the ultimate goal is to support their Krishna consciousness. But yes, that means supporting them to the extent that is needed, but not that, like you said, constant favorishness, constantly that's being the only thing pretty much at the top of everyone's mind. That is where we should start by reducing that.
In fact, the message is exactly that. Like Vidurji also supported Dhṛtarāṣṭra, right? I mean, even after everything that he went through, he still came and sort of, he showed that attachment to a degree, right? That he came and actually gave him the right advice.
Yeah, exactly. It was his brother. He was his brother and he cared for him and he came back for his family member. Absolutely. Great observation. Very nice. Yes, Nishtha, do you have, I think you had your hand raised. Or is that
Yes,
Mataji?
Prabhu. Over
Yes,
the years, doing japa, it makes me get very detached from a lot of stuff.
Yes. Attachment to Krishna always causes detachment from material things, from material entanglements. Yes. That is the cultivation of the process of hearing Krishna from within. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Any other discussion?
Prabhuji, I just want to share, something that I've heard from one of the lecture. There's a, they were telling about, the difference between affection and attachment. So it's good and natural to have affection towards the family members, but not attachment. But I think people usually get confused and they get attached to family members, so which is not good. But we should still continue to have affection and show love to all living beings, and also the family and also others as well. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, those words are very carefully chosen, affection and attachment. Thank you for sharing. And it doesn't mean that we have, the same level of affection for our family as for our neighbor. It's totally okay to have more affection to our family. And you cannot go and, have the same level of affection for everyone. That is the situation definitely with pure devotees who see no difference between one and the other. But at the beginning stages, we have been brought together, like we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kala or time has brought us together. And in the family also, these different souls have been brought in association of each other for a reason. And that reason is for us to allow us to take care of this small group called our family. And similarly, every family member should care for his small circle of family, friends, and the circle increases. But it's totally fine to have affection and commitment towards each other's Krishna consciousness within our family and friends and whoever our near and dear ones. One should not feel guilty that, oh, I'm only caring for my family and not for others. One should never go on this kind of guilt trip. And that is why instructions and understanding the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra is important, so that we don't kind of unnecessarily get burdened by all these thoughts. Oh, I'm not caring for this random person on the street. Am I a bad person because I don't care for this random person on the street? No, it doesn't make you or anybody a bad person. We are trying to do as much as we can within our practical limits. Okay. Any other last minute discussions? Okay. Then we will stop here. It was a very nice discussion. I'll now try to think what next topic to take, because this was one topic, Dhṛtarāṣṭra quits home. Probably something from Canto 1 itself. We'll try to stay within Canto 1 for the next few weeks, but I might pick up something else as well. So thank you so much. Please stay tuned for the next topic and keep coming here, giving me your association. I enjoy this very much, and I hope that you also are taking some value from the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. I'll hang around. I'll stop the recording, and if you want to have any other discussions, that's fine too. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.